Good morning students. Today we will see the solved question paper of supplementary examination August 2021 of Physiology 2016 scheme. The first essay is describe the mechanism of hydrochloride secretions in the stomach and various factors affecting the regulation. The HCl secretion is an active process that takes place in the canaliculi of the parietal cells in the gastric gland. The energy for this is derived from the oxidation of glucose. In the parietal cells, the carbon dioxide combines with ester to form carbonic acid. The carbon dioxide derived from metabolic activities of the cells. Some amount of carbon dioxide obtained from the blood. The carbonic acid formed in the presence of an enzyme called carbonic anhydrase, which is present in high concentration in the parietal cells. The carbonic acid is the most unstable compound and immediately it is split into hydrogen and bicarbonate ion. Thus the hydrogen pumped into the canaliculus of the parietal cells. Simultaneously, the chloride ion also pumped into the canaliculus actively. The chloride is derived from the normal sodium chloride in the blood. Now the hydrogen ion combines with the chloride ion to form hydrochloric acid. To compensate the loss of chloride ion, the bicarbonate ion from the parietal cells enters the blood and combines with sodium to form sodium bicarbonate. Discuss the origin, cause and functions of pyramidal tract. Pyramidal tracts are those fibers which derive from pyramids in the upper part of medulla. Pyramidal tracts are the anterior and lateral corticospinal tract. These are the tracts that control voluntary movements of the body. The origin, the fibers of pyramidal tracts arise from following cells, that are the giant cells or bed cells or pyramidal cells in the precentral gyrus of the motor cortex. These cells are situated in the area 4 of the frontal lobe. So other areas of motor cortex, namely premotor area, that is the area 6, and supplementary motor area. Other parts of the frontal lobe and some somatosensory areas of the parietal lobe. It is believed that 30% of pyramidal fibers arise from primary motor area and supplementary motor area. Another 30% from premotor area, and the remaining 40% fibers arise from somatosensory areas. All the above fibers are the fibers of upper motor neurons of the motor pathway. The cause, corona radiata. After taking the origin, the nerves run downwards a diffused manner through the white matter of the cerebral hemisphere and converge in the form of a fan-like structure along with ascending fibers, which project from the thalamus to cerebral cortex. This fan-like structure is called corona radiata. Internal capsule. While passing down towards the brainstem, the corona radiata converges to form the internal capsule. In pons, the fibers descend from the internal capsule, midbrain and pons. While descending through the pons, the fibers divide into different bundles of nuclei of pons. In medulla, the compact bundle of corticospinal fibers gives appearance of a pyramid in the anterior surface of anterior upper part of medulla. So the corticospinal tracts are called pyramidal tracts. In spinal cord, the fibers which cross the midline and form the pyramidal dissection descend through the posterior part of the lateral white column of spinal cord. This bundle of cross fibers is called crossed pyramidal tract or lateral corticospinal tract or indirect corticospinal tract. The functions include fibers of pyramidal tracts transmit motor impulses from motor area of cerebral cortex to the anterior motor neurons of the spinal cord. These are the two tracts responsible for fine skilled movement. Define immunity, the types of immunity, and describe briefly about innate immunity. Immunity is a biological term that describes a state of having sufficient biological defenses to avoid infection, disease, or other unwanted biological invasion. In other words, it is nothing but a capability of bodies to resist harmful microbes from entering the body. Immunity involves both specific and non-specific components. Immunity of two types: innate immunity and acquired immunity. And acquired immunity again divided into cellular immunity, humoral immunity. Innate immunity or non-specific immunity is the natural resistance which a person is born. It provides resistance through its physical, chemical, and cellular approaches. Microbes first encounter the epithelial layers, physical barriers that line our skin and mucous membrane. Subsequent general defenses include secreted chemical signals, antimicrobial substance, fever, and phagocytic activity associated with inflammatory responses. The phagocyte express the cell surface receptors that can bind and respond to common molecular patterns expressed on the surface of invading microbes. Through these approaches, innate immunity can prevent the colonization, entry, and spread of microbes. Normal ECG and mentioned the use of ECG to diagnose, to know about the heart rate, rhythm, abnormal electrical conduction, poor blood flow to the heart muscle, heart attack, coronary artery disease, hypertrophy of heart chambers. This is the normal ECG. The stage of deglutination. It occurs in 3 stages. The first one is the oral stage. The food enters pharynx from the mouth. This is only a voluntary phase. Second is the pharyngeal phase or second stage. In this phase, the bolus passes through the pharynx into the esophagus. It is voluntary or reflex in nature, occurs in less than 2 seconds. The food that reaches the esophagus from the oral cavity can pass the four possible routes: the back to the mouth, nasopharynx, larynx and trachea, down to the esophagus. Third one is esophageal stage or the third stage. Food enters the stomach from the esophagus. It's also involuntary. The movements of esophagus are specially organized for the function. Movement is called peristaltic way. By this movement, the content propelled down along the GIT. What is the normal body temperature and briefly about its regulation? When the body temperature increases, the blood temperature also increases. When the blood increases temperature, pass through the hypothalamus, it stimulates thermos receptors present in the heat loss center, the preoptic nucleus. Now, the heat loss centers brings temperature back to normal by 2 mechanisms. First, by promotion of heat loss. Second, by prevention of heat production. When the body temperature decreases, it brought back to normal by 2 mechanisms: prevention of heat loss and promotion of heat production. Normal body temperature of the human between 37 degrees Celsius or 98 degrees Fahrenheit is measured by placing clinical thermometer in the mouth or the oral temperature. It varies from 35.8 degrees Celsius and 37.3 degrees Celsius. Functions of thyroid hormone. First one, by basal metabolic rate. Thyroxine increases the metabolic rate of almost all tissues of the body except brain, retina, spleen, testes, and lungs. On protein metabolism, by increasing translation of RNA, by increasing transcription of DNA to RNA, by increasing the activity of mitochondria, by increasing activity of cellular enzymes. On carbohydrate metabolism, it increases the absorption of glucose from the GI tract, it enhances the glucose to the cell membrane, it increases the breakdown of glycogen into glucose, it accelerates gluconeogenesis. On fat metabolism, thyroxine decreases the fat storage by mobilizing it from adipose tissue and fat deposit. On plasma and liver fat, thyroxine decreases cholesterol, phospholipids, and triglycerides level in the plasma. On vitamin metabolism, thyroxine increases the formation of many enzymes. Since vitamins form the essential part of the enzymes, it is believed that the vitamins may be utilized during the formation of this enzyme. On body temperature, thyroid hormone increases the heat production in the body by accelerating various cellular processes and increasing the BMR. On growth, thyroid hormone have general and specific effect on the growth. Lack of thyroxine arrests the growth and increase the thyroxine accelerate the growth of the body, especially in growing children. Effect on body weight, essential maintaining body weight of the body. Increase in thyroxine, decrease the body weight and fat storage, and decrease in thyroxine cause increase in body weight. Effect on blood, thyroxine increases the production of RBC. On cardiovascular system, on heart rate, increase the heart rate, it increase the force of contraction, cause vasodilation and blood flow increases. On arterial blood pressure, increase the blood pressure as it increases the force of contraction, increase in the heart rate. Effect on respiration, thyroxine increases the rate of force of respiration indirectly. On GIT, increases the appetite and food intake. On CNS, essential for the development of maintenance of normal functioning of the CNS. Juxtaglomerular apparatus. Juxtaglomerular apparatus is the organ situated near the glomerulus of each nephron. Structure. Juxtaglomerular apparatus formed by 3 different structures. First one is macula densa. This is the end portion of thick ascending segment before it opens the distal convoluted tubule. Extraglomerular mesangial cells. These are situated in the triangular region bound by the afferent arteriole and macula densa. And juxtaglomerular cells, these are specialized smooth muscle cells situated in the wall of afferent arteriole just before it enters the Bowman capsule. Primary function is to secretion of hormone. It also regulates the glomerular blood and glomerular filtration rate. It secretes two hormones, that is renin and prostaglandin. Macular dense of juxtaglomerular apparatus plays an important role in feedback mechanism called tubuloglomerular feedback mechanism, which regulates renal blood flow and glomerular filtration rate. Answer briefly. Functions of surfactant. Surfactant is a substance, acting material or agent that is responsible for lowering the surface tension of a fluid. Surfactant that lines the epithelium of alveoli in the lungs is called pulmonary surfactant, and it decreases the surface tension of the alveolar membrane. Functions of surfactant include it reduces the surface tension in the alveoli of the lungs and preventing the collapsing tendency of the lungs. Surfactant is responsible for stabilization of alveoli, which is necessary to withstand the collapsing tendency. Plays an important role in the inflation of the lungs after birth. Plays a role in defense within the lungs against the infection and inflammation. Organ of corti. The receptor organ for hearing. It is a neuroepithelial cells structuring cochlea. It rests upon the lips of the tip of the osseous spiral lamina and basilar membrane. It extends throughout the cochlear duct for a short distance from the either end. The organ of corti is made up of sensory elements called hair cells and various supporting cells. All the cells of organ of corti are arranged in order from the center towards the periphery of cochlea. Difference between menarche and menopause. Menarche in a girl, it is the beginning of the menstrual cycle, and menstruation starts about the age of 10 to 15 when they attain puberty, and this beginning known as menarche. It is the beginning of women's reproductive life. During menarche, there is increase in the bone mass. Menopause is the ending of menstruation cycle. Menopause takes place at the age around 50. It is the end of women's reproductive life, and during menopause, there is decrease in the bone mass. Systolic BP and diastolic BP. Pressure exerted the walls of arteries when the heart beats, that is the systolic. When the pressure exerted on the walls of the arteries when the heart muscle relaxes in between two beats are known as the diastolic. Normal range, in the adult it is between 90 to 120, but in the diastolic it is between 60 to 80. Ventricles of the heart contract during the systolic and relax during diastolic. The reading of blood pressure, systolic is high and diastolic is low. Blood pressure inside the artery is maximum in the systolic and minimum in the diastolic. Blood vessels will contract during diastolic and it will be relaxed during the diastolic. Then cortical nephrons and juxtamedullary nephrons. About 85% of the nephrons are the cortical nephrons. The renal capsules of these nephrons present in the outer cortex. The Henle's loop in the nephrons is shorter and limited to upper medulla only. The basa recta is lacking, mainly related with the excretion. About 15% of nephrons of this type, the renal capsules of these nephrons are present in the inner cortex. The Henle's loop in these nephrons is longer, elongated in the deep medulla. Vasa recta is well developed, mainly related with osmoregulation. Thank you. Thank you for listening.